Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 49th episode of Kouryer Podcast. Today, I'm joined with Carlos Fabian Vela. He's a freelance illustrator focusing on comic books art from Mexico City, Mexico. Duh. Now, with that out of the way, could you give us a little introduction on how you got into visual arts and design?
Well, was I think my story is kind of like all the kid that draws in school. No, very much like that. I drew from very little. I draw from since the time that I have a memory of picking a pencil up. 5 years, 6 years old. I was always drawing, doodling in my house, and had a very good childhood. Parents that loved me, always support me, and they knew that I like to draw, so they always gave me everything, all the materials like colored pencils, pens, everything, so I could just draw away all my childhood. So I drew everything that inspired me. Cartoons, TV shows, video games, everything like that, and I did drawings for my friends at school about their favorite characters like Saint Seiya, Dragon Ball Z, everything like that. So I drew comics of them, of us, of our friends. Like I invented some characters for us, and I wrote some adventures for us, and I was that kid in school, that the one that always has all his notebooks filled with drawings. So I stepped away from that because in my town, in my from the place where I was born in Hermosillo, Sonora, there was really not a lot of space for art wise work. So I I was kind of disappointed about that. So I didn't know where would my abilities fit in my town. I really didn't know if I was going to leave someplace in someplace else, and I didn't know that if someone were to told me that I would be living in Mexico City 20, 30 years from when I was then thinking about what am I going to do with my life, I would never believe them. I mean, it's crazy. And working in comics right now, I mean, I would never thought that I would achieve this dream of mine to be working on comics for a living. There was really no
Mhm.
place in my hometown for art, for me, for what I would like to do. I mean, there were artists that were doing painting and maybe newspaper illustration, and I thought that I would be that guy. I mean, thought that I would work. I got to work on my local newspaper when I was starting to when I was starting my work life. No, I studied graphic design because that was like the most close thing to illustration that I could find. It was that or architect, but I didn't really saw myself doing architectural work. I like it. I really enjoy looking at buildings and architecture, but I didn't really saw myself like putting rulers and planes and stuff like that every day for a living. I was doing always character work and people and drawing animals and stuff like that. So it was more. I consider that a work that was more free, free of liberating. That was I'm referring to, and I studied graphic design. Then I worked in the local newspaper doing design work, doing the whole layout of the pages and putting notes and reporting and stuff like that, and it was fine. I did that 2 years, and then I knew that that was not my calling. That was not the one thing that I would like to do for all my life. So I got out of my parents' house, and I started living with a friend that was an illustrator, It's called Daniel Garza. He still does illustration for newspapers and magazines here in Mexico. It's really good, and and he inspired me to look for that opening to find a place in illustration, to find a job in illustration. So he left to do a master's degree in illustration in Spain, and the illustrator job was open for me to just jump in and work on it straight ahead. So I started to work, and it was great. I loved it. I love working as an illustrator from a local newspaper. And then I attended a workshop. I gathered some money and I bought a digital tablet, and that was the cool thing to have at that moment. That was really great to have, and I started doing it away because I saw this page that all the guys that are like old as me are going to relate to. That was conceptart.org, and we started looking at that forum with illustrations from the professionals that were working on games and movies, and they posted their concept arts from the characters from Gears of War and God of War and those kinds of games. And I was like, wow, I would really love to work on that type of stuff. But I was living in my hometown still. I didn't know how could I get to that level. But as all of the illustrations from that time, we started posting our work there, and we started receiving feedback, and it was a great site for at the time for everyone in illustration. To receive some feedback from professionals that were working on the stuff that we would like to work sometimes. And then I learned about there was going to be a workshop at Seattle in the US with the massive black guys, the one that the guys that run the conceptart.org website. And I got a ticket, and I attended, and it was great. I mean, that was awesome. That was like an eye-opening experience, mind-blowing experience of illustrators showing their work. I showed my portfolio to the guys. By then, I was like 2 years into my illustration career, and my portfolio was green as a cucumber. I mean, it was really green. So but I received great feedback, and that was really inspiring me to keep pursuing my dream. And then I returned home to my little newspaper illustrator at the newspaper job, and still kept at it, kept going strong and learning a lot. And then I jumped from that job to an opening on concept art for film and video games in Guadalajara, Jalisco, because I posted my work on the internet. There's some guys, some friends that I had over in another state in Mexico were opening this new studio to create films and games and animation and stuff like that. They saw my work and they pulled me over to Guadalajara, and then I started working in concept art. That's what I wanted to do, and that was a great learning experience. And after that, I've done a lot of jobs for a lot of people all over the world, posting my job, my work on the internet, on Instagram, on DeviantArt, on ArtStation, CG Hub. And then every art site that pops up, I'm there. I'm just posting stuff so that people know that I'm doing digital work, concept art illustration. And then they hire me over the internet, and up till until 2015, 17, 14, 15, 16, 17, I was doing that. And then I decided that I wanted to do something a little bit more focused. And when I decided that I want to do a little bit more focused, I went to go and get the job for Marvel, because and now I'm working on Marvel Comics because a talent scout that was in Mexico at that time in 2017 in a comic convention saw my work. I showed my portfolio, and he we talked, and he saw that I had good English communication skills and stuff like that, and that's pretty important for them, because when you work with Marvel, they give you a script, so you have to understand really well what is the intention for the writer on the script. So you have to grab all the information and transport it into images for the final layouts and the final pages, and that's what landed me the job in Marvel, I guess. I mean, the good level of communication and, well, my artwork, and that's where we are right now.
Awesome. And well, of course, we already mentioned in the introduction, and I mean, it's obvious by now what your main branch of design is. But with this question, I want to get a little bit more deeper now. The question is, what is your main branch of design that you're focusing on right now? And now, this is the important part. And tell us about your experience from the start of it until now.
Well, I mostly try to get better at drawing characters and designing characters. I've done a bit of design work for Marvel. I've redesigned some of their characters. In 2018, I worked with Tim Seeley, the head writer of a miniseries that we call that is called Shatterstar, and that's a character by Rob Liefeld, and and they gave me that character, and they said we want something fresh with it, and they gave me the leverage to redesign him, and I gave him a new outfit, and I gave another character another redesign. It's called Richter from the X-Men also. That's the two main guys from that comic. I redesigned them, so I really like redesigning characters and designing from scratch new characters. That's what I really like giving them their outfits, their backstory written on their body. I mean, really giving the characters some story in what they wear and what their weapons are and what their skills are, their emotions, their expressions. I mean, that's what I really like to do. But I really like to do landscapes as well, like environment design. That's another thing I did on the concept gig that I told you about when I started doing concept art. I was mostly doing environmental work for a film, um, and video games that's really enjoying as well. But right now I try to focus on more character design. That's what I like to do. I don't know
All
if that
right.
answered your question.
And next question is, no, no, it did. It did. Thanks a lot. And
Okay,
how
cool.
does your design process usually go anytime you want to start working on a project?
Well, it was pretty much the same as we all do. Is reference, a lot of reference from from where do you start? What's the main concept? I mean, I focused on a word. I focused on a word, like if I want to design a character, what is what's the main theme of this character? This, let's say that this guy is a warrior, right? And I focus on the word, maybe for him, rage. If it's a character that I'm doing for my own story, I do have my own stories. It's not yet published, but sometime I guess they will. And I try to focus on a concept. I mean, this character is a protector, so I try to make her or his character as to have to work on this concept, like what does protecting means for this person. So let's say I designed this character that is a mentor and a protector for the main character. So I grab this concept of a bear, because a bear is powerful. A bear is maybe takes care of their, well, no, I mean, they usually like kill another bear's cubs, but I mean, I'm trying to get this concept of protecting. So So I land some fur, some armor that resembles kind of like the shape of a bear. So I try to focus on a concept and then making everything just resemble that concept, and see if it works for the character. And sometimes when I do a redesign, like Shatterstar, I look a lot of reference from the old character, from the original character, and then work around those design elements to modernize them, to make them more appealing for the audiences that are right now watching the new comic, and making the materials look more realistic, and kind of like what the MCU does with the redesigning some characters, like trying to trying to find the fabric and trying to find the materials that would fit on a modernized character. Because in the 90s and the 80s, a lot of the comic guys just slapped in stuff that would look cool, like thousands of pouches and thousands of plates of armor and swords and spikes, and there was just the characters would look really like really really saturated with elements, no. And I'm just trying to make them look a little bit more um, functional. What would the character moving on real life would look, and how would his movement be affected by some of the elements that I'm designing on his suit or his armor. I mean, I'm trying to make it functional, but yet still look cool. That's what I'm mostly focusing on. And of course, I want a strong silhouette that tells you a lot about the concept of the character without you trying to find the whole story. I mean, when you look at it, you see what this guy is all about. He's dangerous, or he's cute, or he is a peaceful, loving character, or he is cunning. He is a spy. I mean, just by the silhouette, you must understand what he's all about.
All right, and actually, right now, I want to ask you and talk about some of your artworks. And of course, with every guest before they come on the show, I mean, the podcast, not show, sorry. I always like do a background check on their works to, just get a good insight on what type of artists they are. And I mean, first thing
Mhm.
actually want to mention is that that trend that happened, like I think last year, that everyone's, or maybe 2 years ago. I don't really remember. Sorry, yeah, it was last year, spring of last year, where everyone tried to draw Sailor Moon in a style, and I think yours is my favorite one. It's just
Ah, thank you.
Freddie Mercury's face.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it was fun. That was kind of.
Yeah.
I usually don't hop in on trends when people are just doing the next big trend on Instagram and Twitter. I mostly look away. I mean, I'm not a guy that jumps on stuff so easy,
Mhm.
because it's not that something that interests me, or maybe I don't have time, because I'm having such a hard time trying to reach my deadlines, and working on comics is not easy for me. It's a little bit more demanding than the usual guy, because I come from illustration work. So in illustration, I was doing really tight finished artwork. That's what I'm mostly known for on my past years. But right now, when you do a page a day, it's really hard for me to let go and not refine my line work. And when you're working on comics, you gotta be fast, man. You must be delivering a page a day if you want to meet your monthly deadline. So I I'm trying to strike that balance between work and life, and maybe sometimes I spend more time on a page than I should because I'm tidying up the line work, and I see all these trends and all this stuff come by on Twitter and on Instagram, and I don't have time for that. I mean, I'm working on a comic book, so it's hard for me to jump in.
Mhm.
But that one, I did had a little bit of free time, and well, what can I do just to be different? No, I mean, I was just seeing all these
Mhm.
beautiful Sailor Moons and drawn in such different styles, and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do a stupid idea, but it's fun for me. So I'm glad it was fun for a lot of people. I received some pretty good feedback and some funny lines on over that one. That was really really fun.
Yeah, and about your artworks, aside from the ones you're getting commissioned, or there may be your studio works and just works, not your actual artworks you do in your free time. About the artworks you do it for yourself. What subjects do you usually focus on, and what made those subjects interesting to you?
Well, it's been changing lately because I I usually do well. Most of the stuff that you might see my work in my Instagram is mostly characters, pop culture characters, and well, stuff like it's exciting to draw for me. But right now I'm kind of I after drawing for a few years, mostly pop culture characters. It's I'm trying to find my way to show my personal characters and some stuff that I've been thinking about. As you know, the pandemic has gave us a lot of time to reflect and ponder in our houses. I mean, we have a lot of time to ourselves and to think about what's coming in the future and what's coming for us and as humans, as a species. And it's really it's really interesting when you think about it like deeply. Uh, what's my role here as an illustrator? What's my or what do I want to say with my art, right? And trying to do this new series of works that doesn't have to do anything with pop culture and but right now it's as I said before, it's a little bit time consuming doing comics. It's a little bit time wise, it's a little
Hmm.
bit hard. But when I do have a free time, I will try to pursue a more personal line of work where I show some concepts about what it is to be living in 2020. I mean, what it is to be consumed by social media and how does it affect our personal day-to-day lives to be inside this bubble of Instagram and Twitter and always be constantly bombarded by information. And that's what I like to dwell in more, a little bit more of what it is to be right now in 2020 2021 and so on and so forth. But the comics work is really demanding, so this is I mean money. We all need money to live, so it's my best paying gig so far, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy drawing Black Cat. I would never that right now that's the comic that I'm working on. And the art that we're working right now with Jed McKay, and he's a really fun writer, and I really enjoy working with him. And
Hmm.
I hope that this series just keeps on going for a long time. And after that, I would like to delve into more personal work and maybe create our own comics that I do have a lot of stories with some friends that are working on them, and I just need time and get faster at drawing because that's what the comics need. Like, you need to be faster.
Awesome, and we'll definitely look forward to that if you ever decided to do your own comic project. And well, actually, like I myself personally, I'm like, since I was a teenager, a comic book fan. I read comic books online and all that. And there's like this interesting subject in both like DC and Marvel comics, that there's always fanboys that say, "Oh, Marvel copied DC," or they're saying DC copied Marvel when it comes to their, like, concepts and designs. And like, I mean, I bring this up because
Hmm.
like I'm not saying that, I'm not necessarily like saying, oh, they copied or something, but I'm just want to point out something is that, like, for example, you're working on Black Cat right now from Marvel, right? Like the first issue of Black Cat was in
Hmm.
1979, all right? And usually a DC
Yes.
fanboy would jump in and say, no, they copied the, like, Catwoman, and Catwoman was
Catwoman.
first published in
Yeah.
1940. And here's the thing, like, listen, this is actually my opinion. You're a creator and a comic artist, and you want to come up with a character, even if you don't know if DC Comics exists. Imagine you're like in the room sitting like with the Stan Lee in the Marvel Comics office, and you're like, want to come up with a character, and you have no idea about DC Comics. You're like, Spider-Man, all right,
Uh-huh.
cats. Have we done anything with cats? Not pumas or tiger cats? Oh yeah, that could be something. But cat doesn't like really correlates with masculinity. So you're like, oh, we could make a femme fatale character with cats. Like that's
Yeah.
like a pretty like theoretical school of thought that, I mean, even right now, if you take someone who hasn't read any comic books, and artists, and sit them down and say, come up with some cat ideas or superhero cat ideas, 9 out of 10 times, not I'm not saying always, they would come up with like a femme fatale type of like character, like cat lady in
Hmm.
a sense, not even necessarily femme fatale. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
actually like, here's the thing, it's the same thing like with the two. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, no, no. I'm listening.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry, you
please.
wanted to say something?
Yeah, go
Oh,
on.
all right.
No, 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 no.
It's kind of the same thing with. All right. It's kind of the same thing with people who, I don't know if you have played Dota or League of Legends, but like they're basically two massively multiplayer online games. They're MOBAs, all right, and both of them have a huge roster of champions and enemies. And like Dota fanboys say, "Oh, like League of Legends copied Dota." No, if you see this, it's the same thing. It's the same story. And in the end,
Hmm.
like, the way of thinking of a creator, of an artist, like, it, it's not really a far fetched idea to come up with that. Like, you get what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, it's kind of sad to see
mostly
how
you.
people like try to.
Yeah, they're universal concepts. I mean, the cat
And
burglar. That's one of the
mhm,
things that have always
yeah,
existed on spy stories and hero stories, superhero stories. I mean, yes, you can easily point out that they're very similar concepts, but it's a different flavor. I mean, if you're
yeah,
DC and Marvel, they're the same. They're the same concept. They're superheroes, but it's a different flavor. So in that, you you develop a different size, a different audience. So it's
yep,
a flavor for everyone. If you like the our cat lady is a little bit more villainous. Maybe Catwoman right now, because its context is the story of now.
mm-hmm,
Where are the characters now? Right now,
mm,
Catwoman on DC, I've learned, she's a little bit more of a hero on the Batman books right now. And our Catwoman, she's really not a hero. She's just looking out for herself and her interest, and her story right now, the one that Jet is writing, and I am illustrating. It's a little bit more of we're doing a little bit more character development on her, because so far I don't think that there has been any other cat burglar. I mean, other black cat arcs that delve a lot on developing her character. And right now this is one, I think, this run that we're in is one of the runs that is defining who she is. Like when you take a look at some of the arcs, the Spider-Man arcs, like the alien suit, when Spider-Man had the black suit, and maybe Maximum Carnage, all those legendary runs, no, that the character has. Right now, we're in the Black Cat legendary run. That's what I think. This one will be remembered as one of the runs that defines the character, and I think that's why it's important for fans that like the character to read our story right now. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's a different flavor, and the one that you enjoy, just go for it. And there's if there's really no problem if you enjoy one or another. I enjoy them both, and that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean it's the same. It's the same as sort of like, I mean this are it's, and by the way, it's in everything, in football, in anything. You know, people like to be fanboys and fangirls and just, I don't know. It becomes a religion, and like it's like saying
Mhm.
hamburgers and hot dogs. Hamburger fanboys say, "Oh, hot dog copied hamburger because they both have breads." Like it's like a stupid arguments like that, you know. And like enjoy both, enjoy
Yeah,
both. Like seriously, they're both good.
yeah,
I'm Jesus.
yes, yes.
And all right, let's go to the next question. Who are your favorite artists and designers that have inspired you the most?
Oh well, this is well, too many to tell, but kind of like a month ago, there was this question in Twitter about post one of your favorite comic book covers that come to mind, and well, I posted one by Marko Djordjevic. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. And he's a concept artist. He started as a concept artist. Now he owns his own design studio, Six More Vodka, in Berlin, I think. And he did a lot of covers for Marvel. And he posted back in 2007, 2008. Mm, his first covers were for Blade, I think, in for Marvel Comics, and it was this one by by him, and it was just the Blade's face, and he was smiling, while the fist of Wolverine was up in his jaw, and there was this claws coming out from his forehead. And that was the cover. That was just Blade smiling with Wolverine just skewering him up and from below, and it was a great image. I mean, I was hooked from since then, and that's when I I knew that I wanted to do that. I saw that on the internet and said I want to do that. And of course, I've always read comics, and well, I mean, John Byrne with his run on the X-Men, and of course I appreciate what Kirby does, what Jack Kirby did on the 50s and 40s, working for Marvel and DC, and all of his work. I found it beautiful and really full of expression and dynamic, and energy, and really dynamic. And and I'm a 90s kid, so of course I love Jim Lee, I love Joe
Mm,
Madureira. But of course, when I'm learning about concept art, I go back and look at more classic painters, and Michelangelo di Caravaggio, all the way to more classical painters like Da Vinci and stuff like that. I mean, it's really broad. The spectrum of painters that I grab from, and I appreciate them all. But I think mostly my most influential guys are right now. because there's phases in an artist's life. I think you yeah, right now I'm going through my main my I think my Adam Hughes, Joe Madureira phase, Jim Lee as well. I mean, those are the guys that inspire me a lot, and but I'm trying not to make my work look like the ones that they gave me. I mean, I'm trying to find my own voice, but I really enjoy what they did. Like also Stuart Immonen most recently, and he's a very defining artist on a lot of comic artists working right now. Oliver Coipel, Olivier Coipel, and I really enjoy the work of many contemporaries like Pepe Larraz and Mahmoud Asrar. I mean, those are my guys that I really enjoy their work that are working right now. But yeah, I'm an '90s kid, so it's really hard to shake off some Joe Mad and Jim Lee and Al Hughes and a lot of anime reference as well. I mean, most the
Mhm.
guys from Udon, I would say Arnold Sang. That's another illustrator that I really enjoy his work. He did a lot of Street Fighter work. Akiman and Bengus and what's the other guy's name? No, those two guys from Shinkiro, of course. From he's an illustrator for SNK and Capcom as well right now. Those are the guys that I have on my Japanese side influence.
Awesome. And what technologies and softwares do you mostly use for your works?
Photoshop, Clip Studio mostly. That's my go-to software right now, and I used a Wacom tablet from 2008 till 2017, and I'm on a Huion tablet right now, and it's pretty great. I mean, I love it. I would like to do more 3D work just to fool around and play a bit. Blender maybe and ZBrush, but mostly I dwell on Clip Studio realm every day.
Awesome. And any advice and tips for a good portfolio and resume for artists?
Well, this is a thing that uh, when we were talking about that workshop they attended on Seattle in 2008, I showed my portfolio to the guys, to the Massive Black guys. They told me just to keep it simple, um, 10 to 15 images of of your recent work and your most signature work, what you consider your best. 10 to 15 images. Start strong and finish strong. Start with a good image that is going to generate impact and want the art director to flip around, and finish strong so it can leave a good taste in the mouth of the art director, so it could leave like a more everlasting image of what you can do, and just focus on what you want to do. I mean, if you're looking for character work, show characters. If you're looking to do environmental work, environmental design, show environments. Just be focused. That's one of the things that that is key. I mean, be focused on what you do and go for it. That's what I discovered when I was doing all these jobs for a lot of companies that were doing concept work. I mean, they sent me an email doing, this is what you would you like to do some cards for us for our trading card game? Yes, I would like to do it. Would you like to do some monsters for a monster trading card game? Yes, I would like to do it. I thought that if I do good enough work, that next work would lead me to a better gig, and I would be working on Blizzard, and I will be working on um on on very important game companies or very important comics companies. But it's not the case. I mean, you have to be focused on what you want to do. on what you are searching for. If you would like to work in comics, in Marvel comics, then go for Marvel comics and do Marvel comics stuff that they would like to see. But don't be like me that thought that if I do good work, these companies will come to your door. I mean, if you do stuff that they like, they will call you, but don't expect them to just come out of nowhere. I mean, try to be focused on what your goals are and what you want to work on. What's your dream job, and go get it. Aim for it. Learn the skills to be attractive for those companies to call you. So that's my advice. Be focused on your work and go get it.
Awesome. And if you had free time, like imagine you had a lot of free time right now, what would you focus on? Like what interests or craft would you be interested to explore and learn in that free time? On not just learning stuff. I mean, in general, what would you do? It could be anything.
I would like to read more. I would like to read more books. I would love to learn to play guitar like a god. Uh, so that's the only that I have a guitar. If I could move the camera, I can move the camera right now. But my girlfriend and I, we have a
Yeah,
collection
sure.
of guitars. That, yeah. Well,
Oh,
I mean,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah,
This is
is
my
it?
baby right
Yeah,
here.
let's see.
Okay, okay. Where are you?
Ah, I saw it. Is that a Stratocaster or a Fender? Um, wait. Can you hear me? Uh, I'm sorry because I think I lost your audio. Yeah, I will edit this part out. Don't worry. But I mean, your microphone kind of, I think, disconnected. I think for anyone who's listening right now or just watching it on YouTube, the podcast, you might have realized in the editing, like it's like a scene cutout. Well, it's because there was a problem with the connection and also Zencaster. So I mean, I hope that explains. And now let's get to the last question. Now, with everything that's been said and done in this episode, to conclude all we discussed, give us a roadmap for someone who is zero in visual arts and wants to get to the place you are in terms of skill set. Like what books, courses, anything that could come to your mind. Give us what are those steps of this roadmap, in your opinion?
Well, first of all, I'm glad that we're back and everything is rolling again. And I would really like to point out that the thing that we were talking about before, focus on your dream job and go get it. It works as well for learning. I mean, what type of skill do you want to learn? There's illustration is a very vast and open field of different disciplines. I mean, you have concept art, you have illustration and fine art, and you have design work like maybe fashion or something like that. And whatever you want to learn, it's really good that we live in this time because there is no better time to learn as fast and as easy as this one. There are courses for everything, for concept art, for developing your watercolor skills, your oil painting skills. Everything is out there on the internet, and there you can get a cheap course like for 15, 20 $20 from your favorite artist. You just have to to go find it. I mean, they're everywhere. There you have Gumroad, you have Schoolism by the portal by Bobby Chu. You have Learn Square, and those guys offer a lot of courses of everything that is related to concept art for film and VFX work for film. And if you want to learn comics, there's also a lot of courses from your favorite artist, even doing it for free on YouTube. I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that all over the place. If you're listening to me and are interested on my comics work, because I do concept art, I do comics, and I do well, those are my basically two strong skills in illustration. And if you want to learn concept art, and if you want to learn comics, there are if you want to work in comics, there are a lot of books in comics that if you want to work for Marvel, even there is a book that you can go read right now that is called "Doing Comics the Marvel Way," and this one shows you it's very valid because I get reference to it from my writers and my editors. They show me if one of my layouts is not as good as they think that it can be. They reference that book to me so I could do a more dynamic panel because it's there and it's a book from the 80s from the 70s I think and and it shows you what kind of visual language they use in Marvel. So for Marvel Comics, so you can read that one doing comics the Marvel way, and and you can if you want to develop your anatomy skills, if you want to develop your composition skills, there are really a lot of courses that you can study. As I've said before, this the Bobby Chu site, the schoolism.com. Schoolism is SCHOOLISM, schoolism.com. I think I spelled it right. I don't know. Don't kill me for it, but it's I think that one's it. It has a lot of courses on anatomy, on drawing expressions for your characters, on composition, on realism, and for developing on doing drawings and paintings more real, uh, and it's all there. I mean, it's all there, and it's not that expensive. It's expensive if you want a one-on-one class with the instructor, but you can buy access to the videos, so you can just learn at your own pace. And that's a really good thing to have right now. It's all in English, so you got to learn English first if you want access to all this information. um, if you're from abroad, if you're from Europe or Mexico, Latin America, Spanish speaking countries, I learned English pretty young, so it's easy for me to have access to all of this, and that's what I recommend. And there is really no better time than right now to learn this type of skill, because everything is out there in the internet. You don't really have to study at a university, but it's really good to study at a university if you can, because one-on-one training is also awesome. But if you can attend one of these schools and if you want to learn, you can, if you search in the right places. And I've given you some of resources. In our station as well, there are some resources to learn, and Learn Squared is another website that you can learn as well a lot of stuff for the film and concept art industry. And those are my go-to references right now. And if I get to learn about something that works for you and works for people, I usually post it on my Instagram, so follow me there, so I could just share some resources, or you can ask me questions. you can follow my Twitter, my Instagram, so we can talk there and just share resources. I mean, I'm really open to share with you what kind of stuff I'm studying right now, because when you get there, when you get to the job, maybe you need some stuff that you need to still learn because you have some holes on your game. So I'm still learning. I'm still trying to get better, and doing all the stuff that is needed to deliver better art. That's what I'm most passionate about. To doing stuff better and improving myself, because I don't think this journey is over for me. I'm still learning, and that's the most exciting thing about it.
And well, I think that's it. Where can people contact you if they had a question? Is your Instagram okay?
Yes, my Instagram is fine. You can follow me at CFBia, and you can follow me on my Twitter as well. It's all connected. It's all the same, and I try to keep it as the same for everything. So yeah, I'm always available. And if I don't answer right away, just maybe take some time, but I usually answer everything.
Mm, awesome. And well, with that out of the way, we've come to the end of this episode. Thank you so much for coming by, and take care, everyone. Thanks for tuning in again, and have a good day. Take care. Bye.